Michael Scofield is often remembered as the genius who outsmarted prisons, governments, and dangerous criminals with incredible planning and intelligence. Fans admire his calm personality, his loyalty to family, and his willingness to sacrifice everything for the people he loves. At first glance, he seems like the perfect hero, someone who always knows the right move and somehow stays several steps ahead of everyone else. However, looking deeper into the Prison Break series reveals a much darker reality. Michael is not simply a brilliant engineer caught in impossible situations. He is a man whose greatest strength slowly becomes his greatest weakness. The dark truth about Michael Scofield is that every victory he earns demands a terrible personal cost, and by the end of his journey, very little of the man he once was remains. Long before entering Fox River, Michael had already accepted that his normal life was over. He left behind a successful career as a structural engineer, abandoned his future, and deliberately committed a crime to get himself imprisoned. Many viewers focus on the brilliance of his escape plan, but they often overlook what this decision says about his mindset. Michael willingly destroyed everything he had built because he believed saving Lincoln Burrows mattered more than his own future. That level of sacrifice appears noble, but it also shows an unhealthy willingness to erase his own identity for someone else. Instead of searching for another solution, he convinced himself that self-destruction was the only path forward. Michael's intelligence is another part of his character that is usually celebrated, yet it also isolates him from almost everyone around him. He constantly calculates risks, predicts people's actions, and prepares for situations before they happen. While this ability repeatedly saves lives, it also prevents him from forming normal relationships. Michael rarely shares his fears or doubts because he feels responsible for carrying every burden himself. He believes that revealing uncertainty would endanger the people depending on him. As a result, he spends much of the series emotionally alone, even when surrounded by allies who genuinely care about him. His relationship with trust is equally complicated. Michael wants to believe in people, but experience repeatedly teaches him that betrayal can come from anyone. Friends become enemies, allies make selfish choices, and powerful organizations manipulate everyone involved. Because of this, Michael begins relying less on emotional connections and more on carefully designed contingency plans. Instead of expecting loyalty, he expects failure and prepares for it. Although this mindset helps him survive, it slowly changes the way he views the world. Every interaction becomes another calculation rather than a genuine human connection. Another overlooked aspect of Michael's personality is the emotional burden created by his constant responsibility for others. Every escape, every rescue, and every dangerous mission places countless lives in his hands. Whenever something goes wrong, Michael carries the guilt even when circumstances are beyond his control. He never allows himself the luxury of blaming fate or accepting that some tragedies cannot be prevented. Instead, he treats every failure as a personal mistake that should have been avoided through better planning. This relentless self-blame gradually wears him down throughout the series. Michael's famous tattoos symbolize much more than an escape blueprint. They represent his complete commitment to a mission that consumes every part of his existence. His own body becomes a tool rather than something personal. Every design serves a purpose, reminding viewers that Michael is willing to transform himself physically and mentally if it increases the chances of success. Few characters sacrifice their individuality so completely. The tattoos are impressive, but they also reveal someone who no longer separates his identity from his objective. As the story progresses, Michael repeatedly faces impossible moral choices. He often chooses the option that saves the greatest number of people, even when it forces him to deceive, manipulate, or endanger others. These decisions are understandable given the circumstances, but they leave lasting emotional scars. Michael never enjoys controlling people or keeping secrets, yet he continues doing both because he believes the outcome justifies the sacrifice. Over time, those compromises accumulate until deception becomes a normal part of his survival strategy. Perhaps the darkest truth is that Michael gradually becomes trapped by his own reputation. Everyone expects him to have a plan, solve every crisis, and remain calm under pressure. This expectation creates enormous psychological weight because failure no longer feels like an option. Even when exhausted or grieving, Michael pushes himself forward because countless lives depend on his next decision. The brilliant mastermind admired by everyone else becomes a prisoner of impossible expectations, carrying responsibilities that no ordinary person could sustain. Michael's relationship with Sarah Tancredi also reveals this hidden darkness. Their love gives him hope and reminds him that life can be more than survival, yet it also exposes how difficult it is for him to let someone carry his burdens. Even when he trusts Sarah more than anyone else, he continues making decisions alone because he believes protecting her means keeping her in the dark. His intentions are good, but this habit repeatedly creates distance between them. Michael loves deeply, yet he struggles to believe that love should also involve sharing fear, uncertainty, and weakness. The conflict with the company pushes Michael even further away from the person he once was. Each victory requires another sacrifice, another lie, or another impossible decision. He spends years reacting to threats that never seem to end, forcing him to remain in survival mode almost constantly. Instead of enjoying the freedom he fought so hard to achieve, he is pulled into an endless cycle of danger. The audience witnesses an extraordinary strategist defeating powerful enemies, but beneath those victories is a man who rarely has the chance to simply live. His apparent lack of fear is another misconception. Michael is not fearless. Throughout the series he experiences grief, anxiety, regret, and emotional exhaustion. The difference is that he refuses to let those emotions control his actions. He continues moving forward because stopping would mean risking the lives of the people he loves. This emotional discipline is admirable, but it also comes at a tremendous personal cost. Bottling up pain does not make it disappear. Instead, it slowly changes him, making him quieter, more guarded, and increasingly isolated. By the final chapters of Michael's story, the greatest prison is no longer made of concrete and steel. It is the burden he carries inside himself. He has escaped cells, outrun enemies, and defeated conspiracies, yet he remains trapped by responsibility, guilt, and the belief that every problem is his alone to solve. That internal prison is far more difficult to escape because there is no map, no blueprint, and no carefully designed plan capable of unlocking it. This is what many discussions about Michael Scofield miss. His story is not only about intelligence or daring escapes. It is about the price of becoming the person everyone depends on. Every brilliant plan costs him peace of mind. Every successful mission demands another piece of his personal happiness. Every sacrifice moves him farther from the ordinary life he could have lived. His victories are real, but so are the invisible wounds they leave behind. That is what makes Michael one of television's most compelling protagonists. He is not defined by perfection but by endurance. He continues fighting despite impossible odds, unbearable pressure, and constant personal loss. His brilliance earns admiration, but his humanity is what truly defines him. Behind every calculated move is a man desperately trying to protect the people he loves, even if it means sacrificing himself again and again. The dark truth about Michael Scofield is not that he hides some secret evil or hidden agenda. It is that he pays a price for every act of heroism, and by the time his journey reaches its conclusion, he has given away almost everything that once made his own life normal. This is the end of today's video. If you found it interesting, hit the like button. Leave a comment. Share and subscribe for more content like this.